Chapter 8. As the four of them crossed the river by a wooden walkway, Torak stared down at the sliding water and thought about jumping in. His hands were tied. He'd drown. Besides, he couldn't leave Wolf. About 10 paces downstream, the trees opened into a clearing. Torak smelt pine smoke and fresh blood. He saw 4 big reindeer hide shelters unlike any he'd ever seen, and a bewildering number of people, all hard at work and as yet unaware of him. With a clarity born of fear, he took in every detail. On the river bank, 2 men were skinning a boar strung from a tree. Having already slit the belly, they'd sheathed their knives and were peeling off the hide by hand to avoid tearing it. Both were bare-chested and wore fish-skin aprons over their leggings. They looked terrifyingly strong, with raised zigzag scars on their muscled arms. From the carcass, blood dripped slowly into a birch-bark pail. In the shallows, 2 girls in buckskin tunics giggled as they rinsed the boar's guts, while 3 small children solemnly made mud cakes and studded them with sycamore wings. 2 sleek hide canoes were drawn up out of the water. The ground around them glittered with fish scales. A couple of large dogs prowled for scraps. In the middle of the clearing, near a pinewood log fire, a group of women sat on willow branch mats, talking quietly as they shelled hazelnuts and picked over a basket of juniper berries. None of them looked anything like Horde or Wren. Torak wondered briefly if, like him, they'd lost their parents. A little apart from them, an old woman was heading arrows, slotting needle-fine flakes of flint into the shafts, then gluing them in place with a paste of pine blood and beeswax. A round bone amulet etched with a spiral was sewn to the breast of her jerkin. From the amulet, Torak knew she must be the clan mage. Far had told him about mages, people who can heal sickness and dream where the prey is and what the weather will do. This old woman looked as if she could do far more dangerous things than that. By the fire, a pretty girl leaned over a cooking skin. Steam crinkled her hair as she used a forked stick to drop in red-hot stones. The meaty smell of whatever was cooking made Torak's mouth water. Near her, an older man knelt to spit a couple of hairs. Like Horde, he had reddish-brown hair and a short red beard, but there the resemblance ended. His face had an arresting stillness and a strength that made Torak think of carved sandstone. Torak forgot about the cooking smell. He knew, without being told, that this man wielded power. Oslak untied the bindings and pushed Torak into the clearing. The dogs leapt up, barking ferociously. The old woman made a slicing motion with her palm, and they subsided into growls. Everyone stared at Torak. Everyone except the man by the fire, who went on calmly spitting the hairs. Only when he'd finished did he rub off his hands in the dust and rise to his feet, waiting in silence for them to approach. The pretty girl glanced at Horde and smiled shyly. "We saved you some broth," she said. Torak guessed that either she was his mate or wanted to be. Wren turned and rolled her eyes at Horde. "Durati saved you some broth," she mocked. Definitely his sister, thought Torak. Horde ignored them both and went to talk to the man by the fire. Quickly he related what had happened. Torak noticed that he made it sound as if he, not Oslak, had caught the thief. Oslak didn't seem to mind, but Wren flashed her brother a sour glance. Meanwhile the dogs had scented Wolf. Hackles bristling, they advanced on Wren. "Back," she ordered. They obeyed. Wren ducked into the nearest shelter and emerged with a coil of woven bark rope. She tied one end round the neck of the bag containing Wolf, tossed the other over the branch of an oak tree, and hoisted the bag high, well out of the dog's reach. And out of mine, realized Torak. Now, even if he got the chance to escape, he couldn't, not without Wolf. Wren caught his eye and gave him a wry grin. He scowled back. Inside, he was sick with fear. Horde had finished talking. The man by the fire nodded once and waited for Oslak to push Torak towards him. His eyes were an intense, unblinking blue, vividly alive in that impenetrable face. Torak found it hard to look into them for long, and even harder to look away. "What is your name?" said the man in a voice that was somehow more frightening for being so quiet. Torak licked his lips. "Torak, what's yours?" But he thought he already knew. It was Hord who answered. "He is Finkedin, leader of the Raven clan, and you miserable little runt, should learn more respect." Finkedin silenced Hord with a look, then turned to Torak. "What clan are you?" Torak raised his chin. "Wolf." "Well, there's a surprise," remarked Wren, and several people laughed. Finkedin wasn't one of them. His burning blue eyes never left Torak's face. "What are you doing in this part of the forest?" "Heading north," said Torak. "I told him it belongs to us now," Hord put in quickly. "How could I know that?" said Torak. "I wasn't at the clan meet." "Why not?" said Finkedin. Torak did not reply. The Raven leader's eyes drilled into his. "Where are the rest of your clan?" "I don't know," said Torak truthfully. "I've never lived with them. I lived with my father." "Where is he?" "Dead. He was killed by a bear." A hiss ran through the watchers. Some glanced fearfully over their shoulders. Others touched their clan creature's skins or made the sign of the hand to ward off evil. The old woman left her arrows and came towards them. No emotion showed in Finkedin's face. "Who was your father?" Torak swallowed. He knew, and so must Finkedin, that it is forbidden to speak a dead person's name for 5 summers after they die. Instead, they can only be referred to by naming their parents. Far had hardly ever talked about his family, but Torak knew their names, and where they'd come from. Far's mother had been Seal Clan. His father had been Wolf Clan. Torak named them both. Recognition is one of the hardest expressions to conceal. Not even Finkedin could hide it completely. He knew Far, thought Torak, aghast. But how? Far never mentioned him. Or the Raven clan. What does this mean? He watched Finkedin run his thumb slowly across his bottom lip. It was impossible to tell whether Torak's father had been his best friend or his deadliest enemy. At last, Finkedin spoke. "Share out the boy's things between everyone," he told Oslak. "Then take him downstream and kill him.